Welcome to Tea and Tarot with me, your host, Yashna. Each week I'll share what I've learned as I dive deeper into the world of tarot. I've got my cards in front of me, my cup of tea, and I can't wait to share this journey with you. This is Tea and Tarot.
Welcome back to Tea and Tarot. This week we will be breaking down the Emperor, continuing on our journey with the Major Arcana. Last week we talked about the Empress, and I mentioned that while the Emperor is numbered 4 and comes after the Empress and the Emperor are really counterparts to each other, and the Fool kind of encounters them in parallel to each other on his journey. While the Empress was representative of the divine feminine and a mother figure, the Emperor is representative of the divine masculine and a father figure. So yeah, let's talk about the Emperor. Over history, the Emperor's card has remained relatively similar to what we see now. It usually depicted more historical emperors in the imagery, but carried a lot of the same symbolism. There are some decks where he doesn't have a crown, and some that don't really show him as an emperor at all, but more as the highest authority figure. In the Visconti Sforza decks, he had a black eagle emblem, which was an insignia of the Holy Roman Empire. The Sforza family needed permission to use the emblem since it was regarded as a symbol of high power, but were able to, and then added that to their version of the emperor. In those first decks, there's debate on which emperor is really depicted in the cards. It might be Wenceslas of Bohemia, who ruled in the early 1200s and married into the family of Roman Emperor Frederick I. Others think it may have been Charlemagne, the first Holy Roman Emperor from 742 to 814. Generally, the emperor is linked to the planet Ares, which is ruled by Mars, the Roman god of war. You might have also heard of him as his Greek counterpart, Ares. He is married to Venus, or Aphrodite, who is linked to the Empress, so that kind of works out nicely. He's not necessarily linked to Mars in every single deck. In the mythic tarot deck, he's depicted by Zeus instead, and in some other decks, he doesn't really hold any ties to the Greek or Roman gods, but is just generally seen as an emperor figure. Kind of taking a pause on the emperor for just a moment, it's worth noting that I've been looking at the links to the Roman and Egyptian gods a lot more with my research, especially after seeing the empress's connections. So I took a look back at the cards I've already covered and just wanted to fill in a little bit of gaps that I might have missed originally. The Fool doesn't seem to have any association with either the Roman or Egyptian gods. I could be missing something though. And the High Priestess is linked to the moon rather than any particular goddess. The Magician is linked to Mercury, who is the Roman god of travel and magic. His Greek equivalent is Hermes, and they were both known to help deliver messages, provide luck in trade and finances, and were the god of trickery and thieves, using magic to help aid in that work. So that very closely ties to how the Magician is depicted, what that card means. I'm not going to jump back into the full meaning of the Magician, but did just want to note that connection because it was something I kind of skimmed over originally, but now I'm very interested in and want to see what all those other connections look like as I continue to break down the Major Arcana. So looking at my cards in front of me, in the Light Seers deck, there is a man sitting on a red sphere, kind of leaning on it. It definitely looks like Mars, which, as noted before, is a reference to the god of war. He is holding a chess piece. It is the white player king. Pretty symbolic of a king and emperor being kind of parallel authority figures. And the floor also looks like a chessboard. There's a ram head hanging on the wall behind him, and the wall itself is beige with some cracks on it. And then he has an Ankh tattooed on his arm. In the Rider-Waite deck, the Emperor is wearing armor and a red cloak on top of that, and is sitting on what looks like a stone throne, very solid looking, and it has 4 different ram heads decorating it. He is holding what looks to be a scepter and an orb, and is wearing a gold crown. And behind him, the background is orange, almost kind of like the color of fire, with some mountain ranges, I think, there behind him. So going into those symbols, the rams are the symbol of the god of Mars and are also a symbol of Khnum, an aspect of the Egyptian god Ra. Ra was the god of creation and had molded humans using clay from the Nile. So kind of hand in hand, like, both offer different symbolism. Mars offers the aspect of war and strategy. Ra offers the aspect of creation and authority. My initial impression of the scepter and the orb weren't right at all. In his right hand is actually a stylized Ankh, and in his left hand is a golden apple. I talked about this a little bit before, but your right hand is your giving hand, so it is representative of him giving life and reproduction, since that is what the Ankh symbolizes, and I'll talk about that in more detail in just a moment. And his left hand is the receiving hand of fate, and the golden apple in it symbolizes love associated with Venus, his wife. His armor represents strength and defense, the red cloak represents energy and action, and the crown is a symbol of his power and authority. No surprise there. So I saved the meaning of the Ankh as I'm breaking down the Light Seers deck a little bit more, just because I still don't have my extended guidebook yet. I think by the time I am recording my next episode, I might actually have it with me, or I will definitely have it by the card following that, so very excited. So then I'll know a lot more of these symbols that I might be missing right now, but the Ankh is tattooed on his arm. The Ankh is known as the Key of Life and is an ancient Egyptian hieroglyph. In history, it was believed that each pharaoh was presented with an Ankh by the gods to bless their rule and also allow them to sustain power in their afterlife. It was also supposed to help them help people transition into their afterlife, since that was part of a pharaoh's job. Since the Ankh symbolized the power to bestow life, it was rarely shown as being carried by anyone but the pharaoh, and also became a symbol of power because the pharaohs were really the only ones in ancient Egypt who carried them around publicly. I already kind of talked about the ram and Mars, and chess is very much a symbol of strategy, being logical, and that will very much tie into what this card means when it's pulled in a reading. Looking at the general interpretation for this card, the Light Seers deck's snippet for this is, quote unquote, "I lead the circumstances in my world with confidence, harmony, and generosity." In the Ultimate Guide to Tarot book, it is, "Take control, you are protected." In the forward Light Seers meaning, this card represents the divine masculine, authority, structure, leadership, taking action, being strategic and thinking analytically, and could also represent promotion. When this card is pulled, it could indicate needing more structure in your life, or could also indicate a past masculine figure that has held high influence over you. It generally represents more authority and using logic to push forward. In the reverse Shadow Seer position, it could mean unchecked power, being too pragmatic and rigid, selfishness or corruptness, a desire for more control or more power, being stubborn or defensive. When it's pulled this way, you or someone around you may be abusing their powers and taking too much control. Someone offering advice may be doing so in a controlling way, and you need to be careful to protect yourself. It could also indicate you lack self-control and need more structure in your life. That's the general interpretation, and as always, I will be breaking out what this means with more specific readings as well. So for love and relationships, it could indicate finding someone who's older or more mature to help provide some structure in your life. They might be practical and protective, but romance isn't their strong suit, so be patient. If you care about someone, it is sending you the message to not hesitate and share what you're feeling rather than expecting something to pass. In non-romantic relationships, it could indicate needing to provide more structure or being more logical with how you approach the people around you. When this is pulled in the reverse shadow seer, it could indicate one partner being controlling over the other or a dependent relationship that isn't healthy. There needs to be balance and structure. It could indicate issues with your father or a father figure in your life, and it could also mean a lack of commitment. When this is pulled for money and career, it could mean that your hard work will be noticed as long as you remain persistent and logical. Good opportunities are coming. Be practical and responsible with your money and career, but don't be afraid to take charge to push your life forward. In the reverse position, it usually indicates a lack of consistency and structure. If you feel restricted with your work, it might be time for a change. Take more control of your career and finances. When this card is pulled in a health reading, you may be pushing yourself too hard and need to take care of yourself first. Don't ignore what you're feeling or try to, quote unquote, suck it up or push it away and hope you'll heal on your own. In the reverse position, it means something very similar. You may be causing a lot of stress for yourself, which is playing into poor sleep or other health issues. It could also indicate a potential paternity issue, so be mindful of that if that is relevant to who you're doing a reading for. When this card is pulled around spirituality, it is telling you to ground and protect yourself with your pursuits, either in restarting or in continuing your spiritual journey. If you pull this in the reverse position, it could indicate needing a change and exploring alternative paths, but making sure to be careful to continue thinking for yourself throughout it. The content for the Emperor is a little bit shorter, I think, because with the Empress, it kind of reflected a lot of what are the overall themes when you pull either of these cards. And they very much are yin and yang to each other. And that wraps all the content that I had on the Emperor. I will be taking a short break before stepping into the second half of this episode and doing our usual tarot reading. So stay tuned. Welcome back. We're doing a tarot reading. For those who listened to the Empress episode, you saw the part 1 of this segment where I am sitting down for some readings with my mom. She is here with me again, and this time she is going to do a reading for me. We have done many readings together in the past. Usually I do a spread for her, but this will be the first time she's doing a spread for me. And also the first time I'm really taking a look at her cute deck that she has. We've lovingly been calling it her baby tarot this entire trip, the way you would call like baby carrots, you know? It's still a great deck. It does say mini on it, so it's not just us being like funky. The card deck does say mini on it. And as a comparison, I'm going to take my Light Series deck away, but this is the difference in the card size. So this is why we call it baby tarot lovingly.
Yeah.
But I love it. I love that this is your deck.
And I love my tiny deck too. It is so nice and cute.
for this reading, we were talking about what we should do, and it's so obvious that we have to do a love spread because as of late, I mean, not recently, just generally, my mom's always super concerned about my dating life and if I'm ever going to get married and what that looks like for me. So I figure she now controls my fate with this spread. So she is going to do a love reading for me. And let's see what the cards say. If they say I'm going to be single forever, if I'm going to get married, what's going to happen, Mom? It's all up to you.
It's all up to you, Yashna. It's all in your stars, all in your mind, you know.
I'm
Love
quite happy.
is all a matter of perspective, and finding your true love is all about you letting your heart open to the world. But I'm not concerned about your love life. Let that be standing corrected.
You mention it like every day.
I just want you to have someone in your life who's there when you go back tired from work. Everyone needs someone to go back home to. Or you can always come and live with me again. So,
Oh man, this
That should
this
be
has really
motivation.
gone on a tangent. Okay. Why don't you shuffle the deck, cleanse it for this reading? Let's get on track here.
Yes.
Let's not talk about me coming and living with you. I'm quite
No.
happy and content.
yes. No, everyone is happy that you're happy. And I'm very happy that you're happy.
How many times can we say that you're happy that I'm happy?
I'm very, very happy.
And you know
my
what? We're,
cards are going to tell you that happiness is the most important thing in the world.
and we're both happy because we're in Hawaii right now as we're filming this,
And-
looking at the beautiful ocean next to us.
And looking at sea turtles,
Yeah, there are lots of different sea turtles. Maybe,
that itself is a good sign.
yeah, maybe the camera will have picked up one or two of them in the background.
Oh, there's one right there. You
It's
see
probably in the film.
popped its head right up there.
Yeah. Maybe I'll watch this back and put an arrow somewhere where there's a turtle in the background.
Okay, so I really like my cards. They really resonate with me. They've never led me wrong. And
How long have you had this deck?
I think for over a year at least. And I do a reading almost for myself, like at least once a week or once in 2 weeks for sure. And I don't do it that often, but I've done it after some major life incident, or I'm feeling some heaviness about something, and it's really helped put things in perspective and move forward. So I'm gonna lay these cards out right here for you, and this is the way I do my spread, is that I'll just have you pick 3 cards. So typically when I spread
You
them,
don't want me to like put my own energy into the cards at all?
you could. Do you want to? You could.
We could try it your way though and
Okay,
see what happens.
let's see.
Because usually I'll shuffle them to cleanse them, but then have the other person shuffle them to imbue
Yeah,
their energy.
I've read that
Yeah.
that the person should be thinking about it.
Have you
and-
done a reading for someone else before?
No, I've only
Just for
done
yourself?
it mine. Yeah,
Maybe I
just
should
do.
shuffle them.
Okay,
first.
go ahead.
Let's try it because
Yeah.
I guess this is your first time. Oh my gosh!
But it maybe my energy will bring good vibes to you, because I'm the
But
one
then
who really.
maybe I'm just picking cards from your love reading. Maybe it'll be about your love life.
Oh, my love life is very good. For those who don't know, I've been married almost 30 years. And they're very good, fabulous 30 years. We can talk about that a different time.
I've been there for a majority of those 30 years. I'm the reason it's been so wonderful.
True, true. At least 25 years of those are some contribution from you.
Okay, here, I've shuffled the decks. Now you do your spread.
Okay. So we're gonna spread them out right here. And you can pick 3 cards.
3 cards.
And just pick them and keep them face down for now.
Okay, we need to move all of this over.
Okay.
I apologize to the people watching the video.
Oh, they're not showing up?
I did not realize this is totally out of frame, but I hope you enjoy the calming ocean in the background in the meantime. This is Tea and Tarot ASMR.
Okay. So we're gonna flip them over. And the first card is my favorite card, which is Temperance, except it's reversed. Very interesting.
And that's your Light Series card too, right?
It is. Wow. The other one is the Eight of Cups in reversed. And we have
The Four of Cups.
Four of Cups, also reversed.
All my cards are reversed.
All your cards are reversed, which is very interesting.
What exactly does that mean for me, Mom?
Well, let me see. So I typically use a site also to guide me into reading my cards. So I'm gonna go and look them up. So typically when I look at it, I see my three cards and I read them as, the first card represents what's going on in my mind. Second is like more about like how I'm feeling in the moment. And the third is, the path forward. But then literally I take it as the combination of the messaging of all the three together and what it represents in the moment for me. So the Temperance card is basically
And you said this one is my... What was this one again? This one is my goal?
no, it's more of like what's happening, right?
Okay, so it's what's happening, current state,
And then the
and path to
future.
the... What's
path
the
for-
difference between what's happening and current state?
What's happening is more like, the feeling, the way I see it is just the sentiment of the things that have been building up into the current moment. So it could be one event or it could be multiple events, right? But what's led to the current state of your mind.
Gotcha.
So typically the Temperance card brings balance, patience and moderation into your life. And that's why I love it. Whether it's upright or reversed, just having a Temperance card in your reading is always a good sign to me. And I think even like I see how this sits with you, just knowing you as you are, because it is about balance, right? It's not like about it like you joke that, oh, my mom's pushing me to have a love life. But I think it's very good that you're not also just rushing into some relationship without knowing that it is the right thing for you, or is it the right time for you, right? And that's what I think the Temperance card is representing that. So Temperance card, it says, represents balance, patience and moderation, which is exactly what you're doing when it comes to your love life.
That is what is happening, yeah.
Exactly, right? So when a Temperance card comes, like as I said, it represents moderation, balance, which I think is totally what it is. However, because it's reversed, in a way to interpret this is the way I see it. It's also a sign that something is off in your life, which is creating stress and tension. Life is not flowing as easily as you had hoped for. And so there's like an inkling voice from within. So either you can ignore it and carry on with life as usual, but the Temperance card is warning that if you stay in this state for too long, that feeling is just going to get louder unless you pay attention to it. Right? So either you can listen to it now and make the necessary adjustments, or which will help you find your flow, and this will help you focus on your long-term vision and higher purpose.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's do all three and then I'll
Yeah.
share my internal reflections. But that one does resonate. That
Okay.
resonates.
So Eight of Cups, basically upright, reflects disappointment, abandonment, withdrawal, or escapism. But reversed, it actually represents trying one more time, some indecision or drifting. So I think again here, right, you can see it's a person who's walking away. So in reversed, Eight of Cup raises the question, do I stay or do I go? And you may be caught between walking away from a situation or trying one more time to make things better. But the real question is, can the circumstances improve or is it a lost cause? Check in with your intuition to understand whether you should give the situation one more chance or if you should release and let go. So I don't know if there's already some relationship, but since we're doing a love reading, I'm not aware of any love life that you may have. So this is kind of confusing to me, Yashna. Okay, but this is your podcast. Feel free to share. We're all curious.
Okay, Mom.
Okay. The reversed Eight of Cups invites you to listen to your heart about your next course of action. Others may have an opinion, but it comes down to what's important to you. Only you know whether the situation is serving you and if there is hope for the future.
Interesting.
So your last card, which is the Four of Cups, when reversed, it reflects a period of introspection and withdrawal. And maybe you want to concentrate on what is integral to you or what grounds you. And while others may want to spend time with you or invite you out, you maybe prefer to stay in, read a good book. So what you need to do is just be careful that you don't shut off all your friends and loved ones or appear disinterested in their lives. Let them know that you need some alone time so that you can re-emerge and re-engage.
So is that the forward or the reversed meaning?
This is the fall. But it also, I think since we're doing a love reading, I'd look at this one and say that, when it's reversed, it might mean that you're reluctant to open your heart to someone or to express your true feelings, choosing to withdraw and isolate yourself from the other person instead. So you should be mindful of how this could impact those who are close to you and consider their needs along with your own. And I think that last paragraph is perhaps more reflective of the reading that we're doing, if we want to make this a love reading. But that's what it is. Is there anything that's going on in your life that does this reading make sense to you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll say with temperance, the part where in the reverse meaning, it might mean there's like a niggling or something in the back of your mind that's keeping you from having that balance and peace is definitely true, because I want to be in a happy relationship at some point in my life. And I think it's hard right now because I'm in my mid-20s, so I'm surrounded by some friends who are still single and very content like me. But I also have other friends who are getting engaged, about to be engaged, in these really committed relationships. And there's always a part of me that's like, oh, when is that going to happen for me? Or will it happen for me? And with the Eight of Cups of a current state situation, that one's pretty funny because it's like the should I stay, should I go, leave it or keep it type thing it's not even a real situation because it's definitely it's not going to go anywhere. But there is this old flirtationship with this guy where at a Halloween party, we were kind of flirty again. And I was like, oh my gosh, is something happening again? But myself and all my friends are like, no. This needs to die. This is done.
So it's the leave it situation.
It's the leave it situation. And that is what my gut says. And I think this supports that. And also kind of helps support the last card of the introspection and making sure I'm taking time to myself, but then not closing myself up too much. I've definitely been a bit of a hermit recently, so that one's kind of a good thing to keep in mind, to go out, meet people, and open my heart to people, because I think I have been in some bad relationships and have had not necessarily love partnerships, but also friendship partnerships, and poorly. And I think every time that happens, it leaves a scar on your heart, and then you trust a little less easily next time. But yeah, this definitely resonates. I think it's pretty accurate to current state and where I'm at right now. And I will keep all this in mind to find my balance and what I need.
Yeah, growing up we were told the God makes everyone with their soulmate. Someone on this earth somewhere. You just have to wait till you find them.
So is Dad
Good
your
luck.
soulmate?
I guess he's not gonna have anyone else but me. I'm his for sure. What a stupid question. Please edit that out.
No, I'm keeping that in. Yeah, I think that really resonates. So
Awesome.
far, I think this is the third love reading that's going to be recorded for myself for this pod. And all of them are kind of like, you'll figure it out. It'll happen. So that's cool. I guess the universe is trying to give me that message to just stay calm and carry on. But yeah, thanks for doing this reading for me. I'm so glad I finally got a reading from you.
Yeah,
this is
I'm
so fun.
glad to do my first reading. Maybe I should find more people to do it for.
You should convince Dad. I still need to try and convince him.
You convince him, then I will.
Okay. Deal. Done deal. Well, great. Thank you so much for joining me. And
Thanks for having me.
tune in next week for another episode.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Tea and Tarot with Yashna. This episode was produced, hosted, and edited by me, Yashna Bunsell, and brought to you by Tea Time Podcasts. The tarot reading was done using the Lightseers deck by Chris Ann, and all card visuals are from the Lightseers deck and the Rider-Waite Smith tarot deck. Music was made using SoundRaw. Research was done using the Ultimate Guide to Tarot by Liz Dean, the Lightseers Guidebook, Wikipedia, and tarotguide.com. Join me next week for another episode of Tea and Tarot.